So I'll go back, I'll find another splatter. This is a kind of a goofy one. So I'm going to copy this, go back into Illustrator, hit image trace, hit expand. Now for some of these, you might have a white background, so what I like to do is just click on the white background, and you see that there's like a blue box, so I know that I have it clicked, and then I just hit backspace or delete to get rid of it. So now I just have the splatter all by itself, and then I will go into the reflect tool, and I'll hit O for reflect. Make sure I have the splatter selected first. Hit O for reflect. Just click once, and then hit Alt and Shift, and then you have your symmetry like that. And now I have I have a image that has symmetry, and then I go into Pathfinder, which you go into Window, Pathfinder, and click Unite, and now I have the image that I want to use in Photoshop. So those are the steps. And then I'm going to copy this out of Illustrator, go into Photoshop, and paste it, and in the little window that pops up, hit OK for pixels. And so this would be like my second thumbnail to work on.
How many do we have to do?
12 of these splatters, then I want you to do 3 thumbnails of each one. So once I have the splatter here, I'm going to duplicate it 3 times. Now the fast way to duplicate in Photoshop is to also hit the Alt key. So just like in Illustrator, when you're on a PC and you select something and you hit the Alt key and you drag, it makes a duplicate. So I'm going to hit Alt and Shift will constrain it, and I'll make 1 duplicate, and I'll make 2 duplicates. Now I have this thing duplicated 3 times. And the next thing I can do now is start to paint on top of these for my thumbnails. So the first thing I'll probably do in Photoshop, once I have a lot of these splatters, I'll go into my layers, and you can either select all the layers that are visible, select them all except for the background, and go into the little hamburger menu in layers, and what you can do is merge layers. So now they're merged together, and I can paint right on top of them, or you can paint on a layer above them all. I think it's easier just to merge them.
Do you do like Control Shift E?
Yeah, you can do Control Shift E too, but you don't want to merge it to the background because you still want your transparency.
Just the images.
Yeah, just the images.
If you want it like vector, or do you want it like in pixels on Photoshop?
It starts as vector in Illustrator, and then you copy it over into Photoshop, and in Photoshop, you're going to be using pixels. So when you copy it over, make sure you select the pixel option. So now you're painting in Photoshop, because if you can't really paint the vectors in Photoshop. So now that I have this in Photoshop, I want to paint with black and white only. So this is only black and white for this initial stage of this assignment. So you can hit B for your brush. Now, in Photoshop, I can use Symmetry. It's in the latest version of Photoshop. It's this little butterfly icon. If you click on that, say New Vertical, you get a line that appears in the middle of Photoshop. You can drag it to where you want the symmetry to happen. Just click and drag, and then go back into your brush. You'll have to hit Apply after you drag it, but go back into your brush and make sure you have black and white. So to get black and white, I can hit the D key, and D is the default. It's black for your foreground and white for your background. So if you hit D, it gives you that as the default for black and white. Black foreground, white background. And that's in the shortcuts that I've been giving you guys, keyboard shortcuts. And X flips it back and forth. The X switches. But now I'm painting in black on this thumbnail. So I'm basically adding to it. The brush that I'd like to use, I'll probably start with like a hard edge brush. So pick a brush that has like a hard edge. You can change it if you want, but I just like to pick a hard edge brush. And then as you can see, as I paint out, I'm getting that symmetry. And don't be afraid to make it like big too. Like you can really scale it up if you want to. You know, make it big, make it small. I would try not to be too sketchy. I would try to go for like thick areas. Just make these thick areas. And then as you work on this, you can add to the form. You increase the size of the silhouette by adding black, but you can, in a way, erase the form by adding white. So if I hit X, I can now eat into the form. And now I'm eating into it. So that's an option you have. So you can keep on doing that. You can add to the form and hit X again to eat away. And just keep on playing with scale, making things smaller. So you're just taking that one silhouette from the splatter, and you're just kind of exploring, right? It's just an exploration. And then what you can do is you can go to the next one. So you're going to do 3 variations for each splatter. So there'll be 36 thumbnails total. You're going to have 36 total. So when you're ready to go to the next one, you can grab the Symmetry. And sometimes it's easier to just go into Symmetry, the butterfly, turn it off, and then say New Vertical, and then turn it back on, and then drag it to the next one. And then go back into your brush, hit Apply for the Symmetry first, and then continue with the next one. So you're going to have, this is your next one. So now I got 2. I got 2 thumbnails based on the one splatter. And then, and last part of this is also to explore asymmetry or no symmetry at all. So maybe you do a version that doesn't have symmetry. So have a combination. Some have symmetry, some don't. So maybe this last one doesn't have symmetry. So I'm going to turn the symmetry off, and kind of figure out what this is without symmetry. So there's another one without symmetry. So these are quick explorations, and the reason why I want you to start with the splatters first is I think if you have a base shape to start with, you're not going to get too caught up in like sketching and drawing. I just want you to start with a base shape, and then I want you to look at the shape, and then for each splatter, when you do these 3 variations, just kind of see what emerges, right? You're just kind of visualizing, and you're kind of just playing with it. You might see like a bird, you might see something. You know, just whatever idea that comes to mind, based on that, just go for it. Question?
So I want the theme to be more around like jewelry,
Yeah.
architecture, and objects. Starting so abstractly, I don't know, how do you recommend doing that? Like,
Well, these could be jewelry, like especially like this symmetrical one, like a pendant, you know, earrings.
okay, so what if I flip this? It's a personal thing. So like, I'm in a product design class,
Uh-huh.
and I want to use some thumbnails for my design.
Yeah.
I'm open to like,
What's your product? What's your product that you'll be designing?
I'm designing like jewelry, actually,
Right.
and I have an idea of what I want it to look like, but I don't mind going back a step and exploring like other form options.
Yeah.
But through like the splatter approach, I don't know how I would come up with something else.
Well,
that would end up being-
Fine. Think about the splatters you're finding, right?
Yeah,
And they don't necessarily have to be splatters, right? Just something that's, I'm looking for things that are, you would call them biomorphic. So this idea of what a biomorphic shape is. So it goes back to representational, non-representational. Well, like biomorphic things are things that are kind of representational, that have like a very kind of human kind of feel, like, you know, something that has a roots in biology or something. Things that are smooth, you know. So you don't necessarily have to do a splatter. You can find other things.
Could I like find like a shape like a flower or something that I like?
Yeah,
And then
flowers.
it's black and like-
Yeah, I think a flower is perfect.
And does symmetry have to be a part of creating that form, or not always? Like, do I have to reflect it? Is that what I'm saying?
If you don't want it, that's fine, but I'd like you to reflect some of them. Because don't be under the impression that you already know what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going to find something and you're going to surprise yourself, right? Because it's like, I didn't realize that I could use this, and I reflected it, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect solution for this product. I didn't even think about it, you know.
Thanks for
How do you